project is to stop sounding like an idiot. Holy hell. Alright, today's project, we're going to change the U-joint. Put your Jeep in neutral, block the front and rear wheels so it doesn't roll on you, level ground. Oh my god, I'm going to screw up all day long, and give it a shake. See, it's not really... This is good movement because you're in neutral. Everything's solid in here. This one, see this one right here? Let's see if I can do this for you. See how it's moving? It's not supposed to move like this. So this U-joint needs to be replaced. This one. Okay, with a 1/2-inch ratchety wrench, I'm going to take these nuts off. Very carefully knock the clamps out. Oh, crap. Don't want to lose the cap on the good one. Really careful they don't come out. Fall out. Come on, there's the clamp. Okay, now, let's see if I can turn the camera, because what's going to happen is when I pull this out of the transfer case, right there, hang on if I can set that down. When I pull this out, just lined up something here. When I pull this drive shaft out from the transfer case, some transmission fluid will probably leak out of it. So you just gotta... I try to park it down in a little bit of an angle so it doesn't totally pour out, but let's see what happens. Okay, don't lose my caps. And there's our rear drive shaft. Now that I've removed the drive shaft, this is the good U-joint, and I don't want to hurt the end caps on it. So what I'm going to do is to take a piece of tape, and I'm just going to stick it on here so I don't lose my caps, because this is still a good U-joint. Stick some tape on here, nice and snug, so while you're working with the drive shaft you don't lose these caps because they're still good. Okay. I mean, you could pop them off too and just set them down somewhere, but alright. This is the end that's bad. And upon inspection, you can see where it's been wearing the rubber off. Right here. And she doesn't move freely anymore. She just sounds like she's grinding. She probably lost a few rollers or who knows what. This was a greasable U-joint. What we're going to do first is we're going to pop these clips off that are holding the caps in. And to do that, we're going to use needle nose pliers. And we're just going to pinch the ends and pull these little clips out. Those are out. sometimes these caps will be so rusted in there that you're gonna have to put some PV Blaster, or I got Croil, which does the same thing. It'll work its way down inside and make it come out a little easier. So we should just put some on all four, get it soaking in. So what you want to do is, I could put this in on the press inside, but I want to show that you can do this without the press. So if you're on the trail, you'll be able to change it on the trail. And it's going to be a process of just banging it through so the other cap will pop off eventually. Sometimes it takes a while. Taking the grease fitting out, so when I bang this out, it won't be holding it up. Like I say, some U-joints come with greasable fittings, some come without. See, as I'm banging this one side down in here, the other side is starting to work its way out. Okay. It's a-comin'. Alright. With just a little bit of wiggling and back and forth and pounding, there's the first cap. There's all the rollers. And they're all dry and rusty. Now, try not to bang any part of this yoke right here or doink it, because you're going to have to slide another cap in there. And you really don't want to hurt this part of the yoke opening. Now we got to work on the other side. Again. Soak in there. We got the one cap out, and the other side from banging it out, we got the other side out. I don't know if you can see that in there. Isn't that amazing how those little rollers just fell down and just piled in there? Okay, so. The one little working, we can get her to come out. There we go. Okay, a little bit of work. There's the part that'll go into the transfer case. Here's your drive shaft. That's half of it. Now we got to work on these ones to get these out in the same way. Hammer. See, by pushing one cap through, comes up through here, pushes this cap out, and the idea is to get this loose enough to pull off, and then push the other one out so that you can get it out. they come off. Sometimes you can really bang on these for hours. This one, again, all the little rollers fell out. Now this one even has broken rollers. So this might have been all broken little rollers. Now this poor little end cap had none. And you can also see, I don't know if you can see on the lip here, it's all broken, which is common. And dry as a bone, but greasable. And I had put grease in it. Pop this little guy out. And you can actually see where it's been grinding away at the ends of the U-joint here. See, it's not supposed to look like that. Actually, here's a good vision of it. Yep. It was just a matter of time before it totally broke and came out of there. So now what we want to do, we want to inspect the insides where the caps sit. And what I like to do is get some brake cleaner, spray it in there, clean it, clean all the grease and dirt and whatever's in there out of there. Now that our U-joints, or the old ones, are out, what I did was I just took some brake cleaner and a rag, sprayed it in there and cleaned all the gunk out, the old grease, whatever crap got built up in there. I'm inspecting the ends here to make sure that there's no dinks or burred metal, so that when I put my new U-joint in, it will go in the way it's supposed to. Now, didn't realize this is a greasable U-joint. Starting to get sick of using them. The greasable U-joint has this hole right here for the threaded piece, so you can grease it to go on. So what I do is I don't put it in yet until I have at least half of this in there. Okay. Which end to start on, it doesn't matter. I just pick an end. What I like to do is pull these caps off very carefully, because inside will be all your little rollers, and we want to keep them all nice and aligned on the inside there in the grease. But I pull them off so that I don't drop them. Pull each one off. Inspect them, make sure that they're all in there. You don't want to lose them. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, take one of the caps, stick it in the end. Yeah. Okay. That guy's in there. Very carefully slide this guy in there. Try not to get any dirt and the grease on the ends. Push it back down a little bit. Be really careful when you're putting this U-joint in that you don't knock any of them rollers over. Okay? Now, grab another one. Very carefully. As you tap them in, make sure that those rollers don't move. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but you want to make sure that they stay. You shouldn't feel any kind of resistance. You shouldn't feel any kind of like grinding when you do that. Very gently just tap these caps in. There we go. Okay, so now what we have to do is, right now this is just flush. We still have to knock this cap down far enough to be able to put the new clips in. These clips are going to sit on top. There's a little groove in here, which actually, I don't know if you can see them in there, but there's a little groove, and that's where those clips sit. So these caps have to come down, I don't know, maybe more of 1/8 of an inch. And to do that, we're going to gently take our extension, probably shouldn't be using that, but it's the right size, and tap them in. Just tap them in far enough so you can see the groove in there, and so that they still move freely. Too far and it's going to bind up. This is pretty, see how far down in there it is? What I'm going to do now is stick the clip in there, and it should set inside that groove in there. Now this clip is kind of like a big giant C, but it has a little notch in it right there. And if you take your pliers, you're able to squeeze that notch to make it smaller, which is how we're going to fit it inside the groove. Sometimes these guys go in pretty good. Sometimes they're a pain because the cap's not down far enough. But you want to make sure that it's going to be. This one looks like it's down far enough also. Take another one. Squeeze them together. There, I like the way that one clips right in there. See, it's still easy to move. See how nicely they sit down inside that lip in there? Okay. This might be a good time to put our grease fitting in. Tighten them up. The grease fitting goes right in there. Try not to cross thread it. Have your ratchet going the right way. Then, before we reinstall this drive shaft into the Jeep, what we'll do is take some grease and we'll pump some more grease in here. And I don't know if you can see the end here. This is where the grease comes out and keeps all those little rollers inside greased up. Oh, here comes the sun. Okay, now we gotta put this end into this end. Sometimes it's not always easy. Okay. She moves freely. I just pounded the end caps into this last side. So now I need to install the clips. Making sure that the caps are down far enough for the clips to sit into. Sometimes just a little extra tumbling. Now that the final clip is in, what you want to do is wiggle it side to side, up and down. You don't want any kind of binding. You want it to flow easily. That way you know that you have all your rollers lined up. Okay. Now before we put this back together, I want to take time for my grease fitting. I want to take time to put grease in my U-joint. Oh, sorry. Did I get you? Okay. Disturbing. Stick her on there. Pump away. I could do this after it's installed, but doing it this way, you get to see it easier because I think it's going to be too dark under there. You want to pump enough grease in so you start to see it just squeeze out, because it's got to go into all four caps. Okay. You can start to see the grease will start to come out the little edges here around the whole thing. Okay? So now she's got enough grease in her. And we're all set to put her back in. We're going to reinstall the drive shaft. And what we want to do, hopefully you can see that, is the end that goes into the transfer case. Oops, right there. The end that goes into the transfer case. You just want to check it. Make sure there's no nicks in there. Alright. Got to line up the splines inside with the splines on the transfer case and the U-joint at the same time, because they all got to kind of go in the right direction. Get in here first. Now, let's try about a hammer, maybe. You got to line the caps up into the yoke here. There she goes. Okay. You want to make sure that they're snug in there, in the groove that they're supposed to be in. And then what we're going to do is replace the clamps on the end caps. Now, I have the kind that look like a U-bolt instead of the stock straps that come with it. We found that those break off usually when the U-joint's going bad. At least with these, when the U-joint's going bad, at least they'll still hang on. Haven't broken one of these yet. Oops. Top side. Okay, let's replace the lock washers and the nuts. these up, kind of rotate your snugging process, and what I like to do is, after I've driven it for a little bit, a couple trips, I will just make sure that these didn't loosen up or they need a little more tightening, because sometimes vibration, if they're not totally tight where they gotta be, they'll loosen up. That one's tight. Come off of there. That guy. While I'm under here, I see that there's a whole pile of things that I need to fix, including my broken leaf spring, my leaking gas tank, not my gas tank, but looks like the hose that's out going to it. Alright, major malfunction here. I guess you're tight enough. Okay, and then this one. Well, tightening the last bolt. You know what that means. Test drive. Okay, thanks for hanging with me.